Welcome, welcome, welcome. Well, folks, oh boy, do we have a video for you. So, folks, I need you to buckle up. Today is going to be a fun video. We have some news about the impending battle between Rob Manfred and Steve Cohen. And, folks, you know what? I'm going to give you some valuable information, but I understand you know a lot too as well. So, please comment down below when we get to the topic. Also, the New York Mets. I always talk about trends. Obviously, I like numbers and also was an economics major. So I want to know, how are the New York Mets trending right now? Coming off a nice win against the Nationals on a 3-game winning streak. Ever since Nolan McClain made that start, the New York Mets, have they turned it around? All right. Well, you know what? I have this new feature called the Mets Meter. It's going to talk about how trendy the Mets are right now. And again, you comment on that as well. All right. Before we get started off, hit that like button. It really immensely helps out the channel. I want to continue to say thank you to you in advance. You know, you guys are all the best. I honestly cannot say enough good words because you are the best. And great commentary as always. And if you are not yet subscribed, what are you waiting for? Hit the subscribe button. Come on, let's go. All right, so let's talk about the Mets meter. And usually I'm going to leave this towards the end of the video, but since I'm introducing it today, let me just show you what that is. So the Mets meter, you're going to get a number. I would say last year, I'll give you an example. When the Mets got Juan Soto, this number right here would have been a 10. When the Mets, Francisco Lindor, hit that homer against the Braves and we made the playoffs, this number right here would have been a 10. Right now, we have the number at a 6. All right. So, a little more than halfway. 5 would be, I'm not feeling great. I'm not feeling bad. I'm feeling okay. 6 would be, I'm feeling towards the positive direction. We're on a 3-game winning streak. David Peterson just pitched a gem, 8 innings. Only Mets pitcher to get into the 8th inning. Come on, folks. I mean, you would have thought maybe Kodai Senga would have pitched 1 game in the 8th inning. Maybe. All right, so we need to get that going. Hopefully our new ace, and I'm going to just say this right now. Right now, David Peterson, homegrown guy, he's got to be the ace. Nolan McClain, maybe the future ace, but definitely David Peterson. He's been carrying the load this entire year off of the last couple months of the last season. He has continued his trend in the positive direction. Ground ball pitcher, controlling the zone with the sinker, the changeup and the curve. Off speed pitches were great. Had his pitch count low in the last game versus the Nationals. Very good, very good. Offense is still trending in the right direction. 8 runs we scored while on 4 homers. Mark Vientos, we need Swaggy V to get going. We certainly do. Swaggy V from last year, rookie sensation, coming up clutch in the playoffs, down the stretch. Folks, that is rare for a rookie to, under pressure, for him not to wilt and to excel. So getting this kid going in the absence of our bad news. And, you get the bats going. Brett Beatty looked good today, smoking that homer. Juan Solo. Everybody's telling me that. I'm getting mixed up. Hit a solo shot in the 7th. He got going. And Jeff McNeil, the squirrel, hitting the ball well as well. He had a homer in the 9th inning today. Our bullpen was saved. So all in all, I got to say 6. Again, we're on a 3-game winning streak. I can't give it higher than that, especially with the Francisco Alvarez news. And again, we're going to get to the Steve Cohen, Manfred issue as well. But very important Francisco Alvarez news. And Francisco Alvarez is one of my favorite players. And let me get this off the screen. I'm going to get this off the screen because this is important. I want to give you some Carlos Mendoza comments and some commentary on Francisco Alvarez. Okay, so on Sunday night, Francisco Alvarez hurt his thumb sliding into the base. He hurt his thumb. We knew he was hurt after the game. He was having imaging yesterday, and we were just holding out hope that it would be something small. News came out earlier today that he was going on the 15-day IL, and, possibly after that, he'd be able to return for a playoff run. But unfortunately, more news has come out. So here's the deal. Francisco Alvarez most likely will need surgery for a sprained ulnar collateral ligament in his right thumb. Every time I talk about an injury, I always mention I'm not a doctor, okay? I'm not a doctor, just reading the report. Okay, so there's a chance that the New York Mets slugging catcher, who has been on a tear as of late, can play through the pain and help the team in the final weeks of the regular season, as told by Carlos Mendoza. So Alvarez was initially placed on the 10-day injured list retroactive Monday when he had an MRI in New York that revealed the sprain. All right, here's the deal. If he goes and he has surgery right now, he's done for the season, according to Mendoza. So this is him talking to the doctors, the team staff, obviously Stearns, Mendoza, coaches, manager, everybody had a conversation, but obviously Francisco Alvarez had to make a decision himself. So he wants to give it a go. He wants to give it a try. So we're hopeful, the Mets, Carlos Mendoza, that he can play through this. But we have to wait. We have to see. That's the news. Mendoza also said, we are told that there have been players that have dealt with this, and they've had really good years. So hopefully that's the case with Alvarez. Mendoza also said it's a pain tolerance issue. The injury would be more likely to hinder Alvarez swinging the bat than behind the plate. I think that's vastly Alvarez vastly obvious, because the man has to grip the bat while hitting 100-mile-per-hour pitches. So it's most likely going to hurt him more when he's offensively on the offensive side. Okay. And he also said it's not the receiving hand. So it's the right hand, folks. The right hand. It's the throwing hand also. The throwing, according to Mendoza, doesn't think the throwing will be an issue. Just the gripping of the bat and the hitting. Pretty important, folks. Pretty important. So Alvarez will be evaluated in 10 to 14 days. But folks, I'm gonna set my expectation a bit low. Hopefully, we'll get some good news. But we have to reevaluate this. He's on the 10-day IL, so he comes off. Then obviously he's going to need a little bit of time. And then you see when he's played a couple of games, is this a realistic possibility? Is it? And then also, too, he's going to have good and bad days. Anybody who's been dealing with an injury knows you got good days, you got bad days. Hopefully, more often than not, it'll be good days, but no promises. Hopefully, Luis Torrens continues. He had a game today, good swings, but again, we have to see, we have to wait, and we have to see. All right, folks. So those are your news. That is why I gave a 6 on the Mets meter today. Again, there you go. Mets meter, 6. What do you say? And again, trends, let's see. A couple of days ago, I would have gave that like, a 2, a 1, a 0. So for us to be over 5 is looking in a positive direction. Okay. There we go. All right, folks. So again, let's get to the crux of our conversation. Hit that like button if you haven't done so. Subscribe if you haven't done so as well. So again, what is going on between Rob Manfred, MLB, Steve Cohen, Yankees? This has a lot of New York implications. Steve Cohen obviously runs the New York Mets. The New York Mets spend a lot of money. Yankees spend a lot of money. Rob Manfred has been in the news the last couple days. So most of you, I'm pretty sure, already know what the news is. Rob Manfred is advocating realignment in Major League Baseball. Now, news around the league, or reaction, I'll say, has been very bad. Everybody is not going for it, because realignment, what that means is, if you're in the Northeast, meaning if you're the Yankees, you're the Mets, you're the Phillies, you're the Red Sox, one division. National League, American League, gone. Most likely, it's going to be structured in two conferences. So if you're a purist, or if you love the National League, you love the American League, you love that structure, who cares? Gone. Now, I'm going to read you the quote from Manfred and why he wants to do this. And I'm going to tell you my opinion, because I have an opinion, and it is a summation of why I think this is. And I may be off base because I'm not familiar with everything, but I have a very solid opinion on why I think that this is a possibility. Okay, so it also deals with expansion too, expanding. All right, so Manfred told ESPN, I think if we expand, it provides us with an opportunity to geographically realign. All right, so if you realign or if you expand, obviously you're going to bring in another team. You're going to bring in more money. Manfred is about money. Manfred is about bringing in money. I mean, you have Mets broadcaster Howie Rose describe the threat of realignment as ceasing our existence. Let me get his quote right. I always get Howie Rose. He goes, exist as we know them. So basically, our existence is not going to be the same anymore. Let me just put it like that. I don't even understand his quote. But he also described it as total destruction. And that's what a lot of people like Howie Rose will describe this as, because obviously we have been accustomed to the National League, American League for quite some time. Some divisions, according to baseball player Cameron Mabian, have been getting watered down over the years. Other rivalries and storylines that we love have been vanishing because of that, because of the teams getting watered down. But folks, I mean, think about today's game. You expanded it to six teams making the playoffs each league. I mean, folks, I think this trade deadline, we saw some of the most action ever, some of the most action, and teams normally not going for it. And other teams, yes, they were kind of on the cusp. They were kind of on the cusp. Let's say the Cardinals, the D-backs, the Mariners, they made a small move. I'm sorry, the Giants. But the fact of the matter is, I think they didn't anticipate a collapse from a team like the Mets. I really don't, because the 6 spots were kind of almost set, but there were a lot of teams that made trades, a lot of teams that felt that they were still in it. So I don't think that the rivalry thing is necessarily done, even if it has cooled off in certain situations. I don't know. I'm not buying it. I'm just not buying it. I kind of think that it all has to do with the bottom line. Rob Manfred says, no, it's an opportunity to take stress off certain situations. He says that the travel puts wear and tear, a tremendous amount of wear and tear on our players, and we would like to save them from that. I think that is BS at the highest level. Yes, pretend to be caring, compassionate, and considerate towards your players, but it has nothing to do with eliminating travel. It has nothing to do with eliminating travel. I mean, why do we fly to Japan every once in a while? It's to make money. If travel had anything to do and putting wear and tear, you would never make trips like that. But we are about expanding the game. We are about expanding the bottom line. And, again, that's I guess, good business people do that. But again, it's BS. Now, another thing about the situation is, unfortunately, let me get you this right here. Okay, so now, unfortunately, so the Mets and the Yankees, they're saying, could be the biggest losers in this proposed realignment. All right, so the proposed division would be the Mets, the Yankees, the Phillies, and the Boston Red Sox. So such a division would feature the second, third, and fourth highest payroll teams in MLB. So obviously, all those teams that pay that much money want to win the division. They want to make the playoffs. And all those teams aren't going to make the playoffs. It just can't happen. It's just, we're not going to be structured like that. So that would be a bit of an issue. Now, again, I said Manfred thinks this is going to be a positive if we realign. I think he thinks that, the it would, again, this is his exact quote. He goes, I think we could save a lot of wear and tear on our players in terms of travel. And I think our postseason format would be even more appealing for entities like ESPN because you'd be playing up and east and out of the West, playing out of the East and out of the West. So it would be better on TV. Honestly, again, I'm not buying that. I'm not buying that. So a division with the Mets, Yankees, Red Sox, and Phillies would easily project as one of the hardest in the division. Emerging from such a division would be a ruthless battle each year, and one of those teams would have to finish in last each year. Again, they'd be playing each other so often. So that would be another issue as well. Okay, all right. So again, here's another. This is me thinking kind of like towards the lockout, right? This is me thinking towards the lockout. So when the lockout is going to be determined, you're going to have owners versus the players, right? Owners versus the players, right? So again, I'm thinking a lot of this conversation is geared toward the future. Now, when you have the players, you have them not wanting a salary cap, not wanting a salary cap. You have them not wanting a salary cap because they want to get paid the most money, right? But in the owner situation, you see a lot of teams and owners are the same, wanting a salary cap, wanting a salary cap. So now the fact of the matter is, there are the Yankees, there are the Mets, there are the Dodgers, there are the Phillies, maybe one or two other teams. Those 5 or 6 teams are going to be against a salary cap. Now, I've even heard the Yankees, they're a team against the salary cap. So if you have 5 teams for the salary cap, right, and you have 25 teams against the salary cap, now you're going, when those owners vote, everybody is going to be pro salary cap. But again, the players want a salary cap. So they will be siding with those 5 owners who are in the minority. So how do we work this out? Well, ingeniously, why don't we put a majority of those salary cap teams in the same division? It works out that they're all, geographically in similar areas, except for the Dodgers, right? But the Dodgers, you could put them, the Giants are trying to spend a lot of money. The Padres, they've spent, although they're starting to cut, but they can work it out there. But most, I would say 80% of the teams are in the not National League East, but in the Northeast. So I think that is a bit of a way to possibly get a salary cap. If you put most of those teams together in one division, I think it would lessen the incentive of those teams going ridiculously high, right? You're going to have 4 teams in the same division spending 400, 500 million, knowing only one can win. I mean, depending on how they do the playoff structure, I guess that would affect it as well. But I'm thinking that could be a possible way to appease certain sides. Players, get your salary cap. And the other owners who don't want the salary cap, you know what? We'll do it. That's fine. You have most of the teams on one division, can't affect everyone else. The 26 other teams, except for the Dodgers. And the Dodgers, they have a limited window. They have a limited window where the payments are coming due. The payments are coming due from the Ohtani contract. A lot of contracts they deferred. So they're in a unique situation as well. So although you're like, oh, they're an iceberg and they're not with teams who spend a lot of money and they can go crazy because they know they're the team that can overcome. No, it's going to be time to pay the piper in LA in the future. So depending on when they implement this, and maybe they implement it, maybe they set this for 2028 or 2029 or 2030. I don't know how near in the future it's going to be, but I believe 2035 or 2034 hits, that's when all the deferred money from the Dodgers needs to start getting paid. So I don't know. It's a bit interesting. But again, it could be some kind of way to appease both sides. Players get the salary cap. Those 5 owners get to still spend, and then those 25 owners don't get to deal too much with those 5 specific owners. And we've seen now that it's not the team that spends the most. It's not about the team that spends the most. And I also think that there's more parity across the league than ever, in my opinion. I mean, again, if the D-backs wanted to go for it, they could have been in it. They're not. They were 3 games behind the Mets just a few short days ago. If the, I believe the Cardinals, a lot of teams that, decided to sell at the trade deadline, they were in it. So most of MLB, Major League Baseball, by July 31st, 2/3 of MLB, maybe more, were in striking distance. So I have to look at it as parity is afloat in Major League Baseball. Now, if we look at the battle between Cohen, the battle between Manfred, is they have 2 separate interests. They really do have 2 separate interests. Manfred wants to expand the game. Manfred wants to bring more money into the game because obviously, if he grows the game, he's going to be more successful, and I believe he gets paid based on amount of revenue he brings into the game. I don't know that for sure, but and at the end of the day, Steve Cohen's goal is to win the World Series. Now, if you have these 3 juggernauts in the same division and only one team can be the victor, that makes things much, much more tricky. Much more tricky. Unless they structure things like the NBA or like hockey, and they have 2 conferences and 8 teams with the best records make it. I mean, that would be fine. That would be fine. That means all 4 teams in the division can make it. So again, if that's the case, and I misunderstood the initial reports, then that's fine. That's fine. But again, we'll get more information as it appears. But then, another argument could be is although 4 teams can have the opportunity to make the playoffs, they're all beating up on each other constantly. And if you want to eliminate travel, again, that would mean that they'd be all playing each other much, much more often. And then if you're a historian, and I'm a person, I love the National League. I love the American League. A few short years ago, they eliminated the DH. And there were a lot of people that went up in arms about that because they want to see pitchers hit and they want to be a purist and this and that. Me, I'm a little bit more about seeing action, seeing runs, and I'm not all for seeing a guy hit who just can't hit. I know strategy, bunting, hitting and running. Okay, that's great. If you see that as fun, exciting, I give you all the credit in the world. But you want to appeal to a younger generation. You want to bring in fans as well as keep fans. The people who are going to be mad, like, oh, you're getting rid of the DH. You're getting rid of the pitcher. I want to see him hit. A lot of those people are going to stay. They're not going to leave just because pitchers don't hit anymore. I mean, if you were waiting for the pitcher to hit, you are some hell of a fan. And if that's your sole reason of watching, then, again, you are far and few between. But folks, let me know what you think about this video. Mets meter. Mets are around a 6. Give it a 6. We're going to be updating this meter very often. We'll do it on live streams. We'll do it on videos. We will do it as often as possible because, again, once the Mets get into the playoffs, I need this to be towards a 10. Right, I don't need this. And in the next couple of days, I'm hoping that this doesn't go down. But again, Mets meter last week, maybe this was a big fat 0. Probably was. But so 6, we should be jumping for joy, folks. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you. I do. Have a great day, folks. Let's go, Mets.